expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WTJX, its board, staff, or underwriters.
Good day. You are listening to Ability Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Amelia Headley-Lamont of the Disability Rights Center of the Virgin Islands. And today we are going to talk to the team, the members and the movers and shakers of the Disability Rights Center of the Virgin Islands. We're going to cover the past year, the year of 2025, with our special guest, Angus Drigo, the Executive Director of the Disability Rights Center. Good day, sir.
Good day, Amelia.
Archie Jennings, the Assistant to the Executive Director and Litigation Director. Good day, Archie Jennings.
Good morning. Good morning.
And our phenomenal attorney and project director of the Virgin Islands Parent Training and Information Center, Kishma Francis. Good day, Kishma Francis.
Good day, Amelia. Good day, listening audience.
We are going to talk about the past year and its challenges, I'm sure. So let's start with you, Angus. Tell us what the Disability Rights Center does. Who are we?
Well, in a nutshell, we are not private, not-for-profit. We are federally funded, and we advocate for the human rights of people with disability. That's our main mission, and everything that we do is centered around that. And that would include everything with regards to people with disabilities. So, and why that's important, when I say everything, you can look at somebody and you could see they perhaps, you cannot identify what their disability is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not visual. So you got to be very aware as a person when you encounter that person and you discover that they have a disability, how to treat them.
Right.
Because there are folks in our community that are who are not as sensitive as they should be, especially with the non-visible disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly among those would be mental health. And that's a real problem in our community. There's a stigma associated with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be, because your mind is part of your body.
Right.
So if you have an issue with any other part, you go to the hospital and take care of it. Mental health is the same.
Right. So there's no limit necessarily as to
No.
we only serve persons with this particular type of disability.
No.
It's across disability.
It's across
Mhm.
disability lines. Our goal, in most instances, interacting with somebody with a disability, is to encourage them to be able to stand up for their human rights,
Mhm.
to be able to advocate for themselves.
Mhm.
So on that journey, they could begin with us, but
Mhm.
we're going to try to arm them with everything that they need so that they could be an advocate for themselves.
Okay. And I'm going to challenge you on something. I think them is us.
Yes.
The younger I get. I think that it becomes, as Kurt Decker, who was a former director of our national organization, said, you could become a member of the disability community at any given moment.
Any given moment. I usually say
Uh-huh.
it could be your next step.
It certainly has been for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be. Absolutely. Absolutely. What other things does the Disability Rights Center? I noticed that there's some
Right.
specific things that are required by law
Mhm.
that our organization does. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Notably among those, and that's something that's visual as well, is the access pieces. That's what everybody associates disability with.
Mm-hmm.
But access is a lot more than just providing access with a mobility type of assisted technology, which is a wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
or a stick that you use for walking if you're low vision.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, there's also accommodation. If you are employed somewhere and you have a disability and you need certain technology to help you work, you need your chair to be a little different, you need different devices, those
Mm-hmm.
ought to be enforced as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the person who has the disability to understand that that's important, but the employer. And the Virgin Islands government is the largest employer in the territory.
Right.
And they're absolutely in violation of a lot of things with regards to disabilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The ADA coordinators worked with us well
Mm-hmm.
in informing people of their rights, and also in ensuring that, especially with this new construction that's taking place, that they provide the adequate access for people with disability.
Any new construction.
Any new construction.
Okay. Well, not a private home, obviously, but
No, but yeah.
right. Okay.
And businesses and so forth.
Okay. Another thing I note is monitoring visits. What does that involve?
Or we also have what's called access authority. And that access authority, granted through an act of Congress, provides that anywhere or any institution that house people with disability, we have the access authority to go in, and we don't have to announce that we are coming in. But we're a small community, so we usually call and arrange the meetings. That the environment is clean, so there's no abuse, no neglect, and the person's rights are not violated. So those are the three components of what we look for when we go into the monitoring visits. And those could be in institutions that are run by the government or institutions that are run by private companies.
And that certainly can be an issue because we do, as you know, have historically sent a number of residents of the Virgin Islands off island.
And that's another thing, because when that happens, and I don't particularly like that word, but they become a ward of the state.
Right.
And as such, we have that authority as well to go visit wherever that person is housed to ensure that they enjoy the same rights. It's a very expensive thing for the Virgin Islands. And also, it doesn't add to really a comprehensive care system when you have that person not interacting with their family members and so forth. So that creates an additional burden on that person who is away.
Right. And may lend itself to being not as carefully cared for because the staff may assume that no one's watching.
Exactly. And that's what we've, over the years though, especially during COVID, we were able to get access to other PNAs, protection and advocacy agency like ourselves, because there are 57 PNAs throughout the state and territories, to be able to get reports from them with regards to if we have to know where someone is housed, what is basically the report on that institution, what sort of report card they have, and then also in collaboration with the Department of Health, Human Services, and any other agency that send our citizens away, to be able to coordinate to ensure that those rights are, and there's no abuse and no neglect.
Right.
So,
and these are things that if you find it, then what?
If you find it, we report it. Report it to the authorities and ensure that the action is taken. If it's systemic type of issue where it's much broader, we usually collaborate with groups or individuals, and we can file legal action against that organization. And we've done that here with mental health against the VI government.
Right.
So there's a consent decree on mental health right now.
So there's another project that you've, with help of a number of resources, a little library. Tell us about that.
Well, one of the things that happen in the Virgin Islands, particularly on St. Croix, is that we have the Ag Fair. And the Ag Fair brings us really close to the community. And I really enjoy doing that because you get to speak to everybody on the ground, people that you may not have run into for any other reason. And through that, we ask a lot of questions as to what would folks like to see us do for the coming year. We have our survey, and I'm encouraging folks, we're going to be there come February, close to the main gate. So we're going to be there. Come by. We want to know what's happening. We want to know what we should prioritize and work on for the coming year. But out of that, many conversations with people, we sort of developed a relationship with the Community Foundation of the Virgin Islands. And Beth and a group of folks had a meeting with us. And as a result of that meeting, we were able to get a donation from one of their donors. And
Excellent.
that spilled in addition to other things as to what they were doing and what we can do to enhance or encourage what they're doing in the community. And the little library came about. So it's It's labor of love through collaboration, working together in the community. That's how things are done. So we have the little library set up.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally, it was erected by our brothers' workshop.
Uh-huh.
A set of young people came and they mixed the concrete and put the poles in place and put the library in place.
Right next to the sign.
Right next to our sign in St. Croix in Estate Carlton.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And it's right next to that bridge that's being repaired.
Right now, it's a bridge to nowhere right now.
In case somebody is
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, it has not affected us per se, because what we do is there's not a security guard, but somebody working for the company doing the paving. Mm-hmm. And we encourage them, if somebody comes by, to let them through so that they could come to the office to service.
If you're traveling from the east going west, you can
go there.
Yeah,
right.
Okay. But if you're traveling from the west,
you'd have to get back up and come back west.
Okay,
through Queen Mary.
Okay,
and then you get to us.
Okay, so if you're coming from the west, you got to take the highway, maybe turn off of the airport road.
Yes,
west.
off a cruise and rum. Come straight up that road.
Right, and then it's an
easy hike down.
All right. We'll now visit with Attorney Jennings. First of all, you mentioned the ADA, and I want to make sure the audience understands what the ADA is, the Americans with Disabilities Act. Attorney Jennings.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's an Amelia. But
tell us about your year.
The past year started off great. We're trying to line up all our trainees and issues with regard to outreach, and we were able to with the BI Deaf and Hard of Hearing Association, and that training, as well as events that they participated in and hosted as well, went very well. It encouraged working together as well as standing up. They picked some leaders who will lead them on under the new regime that they have to face, as well as celebrating that they can come together and they can make a difference. So we want to continue on more trainings and more event participation by the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Association. Along with them, I could say the State Rehab Council, which, as a member of the DRCVI, I sit on the board, which again matches some of the goals of employment, expanding employment, accessible employment, and generally speaking, working with employers as well. Through the State Rehab Council, we also make contact with my Brother's Workshop, one of the entities on the island that assists persons with disabilities or learning disabilities or other hindrances that they have, obstacles over, so they can become fully employed. One of the purposes of the council itself is accountability, and the purpose of the council is to look at matters from the consumer-oriented perspective to assist persons with disabilities to become employed or stay employed or maintain employment. I don't think a lot of persons understand that aspect of the vocational rehabilitation services, which are under the Department of Human Services, that it helps maintain employment as well, from their perspective. And it also helps with having very inclusive representation from the community, because it has the nonprofit agencies, just as ourselves, government agencies, private business persons sit on the council as well. So you try to get all members of the employer situations at the same table. During the past year, which is first time for a number of years, they had a town hall where people from the public, not only those designated on the council, had come together and started the aspect of a needs assessment. And believe me, I think that's going to be critical for all the nonprofit agencies to more or less form more inclusive collaborations, as well as I know the DRCVI will participate with folk rehab in doing a needs assessment. That's going to be a report after coming out in the next year. So needs assessment is really due because there's going to be less funds available and more work that's needed. So trying to give it some direction, the council has taken a lead on engaging someone to lead on the needs assessment surveys and come up with, at least from the employment aspect, what can be done in the Virgin Islands to fill gaps, create more opportunities, and create more inclusive employment within the community.
Quick question. What businesses are represented on this State Rehab Council?
One is, I know, it's a realtor,
Okay.
and the other person it's essentially new to me.
Okay.
The realtor is somebody I worked with even when I was in private practice. And essentially, I can't think of anybody that represents a hotel or let's say retail area
Okay.
on the board. But the council is not fully completed yet. It's been one of the aspects is they have to be appointed by the governor. So there's a process for them to go through and get designated appointed by the governor.
Gotcha.
And that's outside my bailiwick. I rely on Julian Henley, who's the territorial ADA administrator.
Right.
He takes the lead on the council. He's the president of the council. And essentially that process, it seems to be an ongoing process because they can only serve 3-year terms and 2 terms. So most 6 years can you remain on the council.
Okay.
What's being pushed again right now is needs assessment because we're in uncharted waters. A lot of people don't realize that some of the issues that are coming out economically have not been in this condition since the 1930s. And so there's a whole bunch of alarm bells ringing with regard to the overall economy. And somehow tariffs make it worse. That's all I can say. Won't say anymore.
All right. Well, I'm confused. What hasn't? Explain the 1930s as to now. That's what's throwing me off. What do you mean?
1930s was the Great Depression.
Okay. So
When
no,
the
I get
United
that. But
States-
what?
the big shift was employment was critical. They moved people from one part of the country to the other part of the country. And there were issues with regard to right now that the federal government doesn't look like it's going to assist with lowering unemployment rate. Matter of fact, they even fired the person who's no longer in charge of collecting the information.
Right.
And I say uncharted waters because there is no United States, one of the largest economies in the world, there's no statistics on employment over the last 2 months. And once you lose them and there's no way to gather that information up, you're just sort of walking in a fog as you go into the future.
Right.
So it's going to have to be humble, all around with regard to other streams of employment, which I think the Housing Authority has also gotten involved in creating job creation. You no longer can look to the big industries unless you have critical steep educational curve. Otherwise, those who need technical training for technical jobs are, the salt of the earth, the farmers, the workmen, those who deal in carpentry, plumbing, electrical. Those kind of industry jobs are not being, advanced. Virgin Islands is taking a great leap in trying to, with their RT part, to make sure that those in internet and security issues can get trained.
Okay.
But they're also for those that need more technical skills, which sometimes in the past, people got it through the military. You could go and learn a skill, be it in the hospital tech or different areas, but even that has tapered off. So they're looking, especially in the population that we are concerned with, is that job creation and getting technical skills other than just, secondary
Gotcha.
college education is very, very small.
Right.
Very, very small. During the, you got to remember during the Depression, they even hired architects. They hired people who did murals. You go to some of the public buildings in the United States, and they're gorgeous because during the Depression, they had public works finishing
Right.
who created those projects and expanded the economy that way until they hit the World War II. But
Understood. No, it was
again,
the 1930 that threw me off. That's what I was trying to grapple with. We're gonna allow you to elaborate more, but I want to make sure we get Kishma Francis, our advocate with respect to work with
Right.
families and parents and so forth. Good day, Kishma Francis. Are you with us?
Good. Yes, I am here. Good day, Amelia. Good day, listening audience. So last year, this year has been a phenomenal year for us. We've done outreach. We've remained visible in the community, and we've continued to partner with Tutu Park Mall. That's one of our biggest supporters.
Hmm.
We've also done trainings, and what we did with our trainings is we provided in-person trainings and online trainings. And in some cases, we provided where it was hybrid, so it was in-person and online at the same time.
Hmm.
And the interaction was really good. Another thing we did is we did a hygiene project. So to start the hygiene project out, we had interns, DJ Peterson. He was our college intern at the time. Now he's one of our employees. And Nadisha De Jesus, she was our high school intern at the time. And they came up with the idea of the hygiene project to address hygiene poverty. That started in 2024. However, it really took off in 2025. And it took off to the point where we also had a focus group in July of 2025. And the focus group was with the UVI Upward Bound students. And this group, they provided more information on just how can we serve our community and students who are affected by hygiene poverty.
I've never heard of this
Out of
term, so this is a new one for me.
Focus group.
What do we mean by hygiene poverty?
Out of that focus group came mental health.
Okay.
Hygiene poverty is where certain areas of the country they don't have access to adequate hygiene products, clean running water. For the Virgin Islands itself, we don't really have a lot of access to hygiene products. We do have running water, however, we have cisterns. And what we found when we partner with Department of Health to learn more about, clean cisterns and filter is that when the water isn't clean, it can cause damage to your system, especially the stagnant water in the cisterns itself. So the hygiene poverty is just basically saying that because there's not much access to good hygiene products, good hygiene routine, this area needs help, basically. That's the best way I could say it. That's the best way I could break it down, Amelia.
That's fair.
Best way I could break it down.
We have about 3 minutes left, so I want to not make sure I don't miss anything. So tell me what else you have going on with this PTI.
So the hygiene project, we served about 2,000 people with the hygiene project. We have the Youth Empowerment Leadership Program. We had it at EWA. It's no longer at EWA anymore. And out of that came a teen mental health and wellness brochure and poster, which was featured at a conference. And those posters and brochures are available at our office. So what we're doing right now is we're wrapping up this grant. And we're going to start the new grant October 1st, 2025. So when we start the new grant, we're going to look forward to so much more.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. We're going to come back to this at some point soon because I will want to hear what the office is doing. And I'm sure the community wants to know what the office is planning for 2026, which is right around the corner. So I want to again thank the three of you for bringing us up to speed as to what the year has been, that we're still a vibrant, viable, zealously engaged organization. Our guest today was Angus Drigo, the CEO of the Disability Rights Center, Archie Jennings of the who's the assistant to the Executive Director, Litigation Director, and Kishma Francis, Project Director of the Virgin Islands Parent Training and Information Organization. Quick note, and Archie wouldn't say this, he was recognized by the government of the Virgin Islands this year for his stellar work in disability rights advocacy. Kudos to Archie. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to chatting again with you on Ability Radio. Bye-bye.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WTJX, its board, staff, or underwriters.